Good morning, everybody. Sitting here having my morning coffee, was fiddling with some videos and thought I got some stuff working in the background, so I figured I'd go ahead and put together another reworked episode here. We're looking at day 7, which is where I was able to take a good gobbler, a nice Osceola gobbler, standing in the water, which was really cool. Um, and really cool the way it all played out. I was kind of surprised, Squirrel and I both, because when we got into this spot in the dark, it was not what we expected it to be. I think you could tell that in the video. But anyways, having my morning coffee, I figured we'd walk through this thing. As far as locations, like here, it's public land in South Florida, guys. That's all I can tell you. Getting some direct messages with some specific names, some specific areas. I'm not going to confirm or deny anything. It's just not going to get answered because, man, I mean, this is stuff that I will continue to hunt until I'm done hunting, which is probably when they dig my hole. So I don't want any extra pressure. I don't want you hunting my turkeys just like you don't want me hunting your turkeys. So just know that it's public land in South Florida is all I'm gonna say about that. So there's that. But other than that, I think we can jump into the video here. If you watch the video, you know that I was able to roost a turkey the evening before, which was incredibly lucky. Hunting a very hard hunted spot here, and got a turkey to gobble 3 times I think that evening on the limb, and I was way back in there and had pedaled a good ways back in there, and then walked my way into an area that had fewer roads and stuff, and he gobbled enough for me to kind of get a bearing on him, and I was moving in, and I just picked him out of the tree. I think I mentioned that a few episodes back as well, down there in South Florida where everything's flat and you got these pines that are, higher than all the vegetation around them. You can really skylight really well, and that's exactly what happened. I just looked up and was able to skylight the gobbler, so I knew exactly where he was at. I think we even showed you guys some satellite imagery of of the area, so you saw where he roosted was in like a little narrow pinch between a couple of these ponds, and excuse me. But Squirrel did have a little experience in this area. That's why we picked the pond that we did. It was in better condition the season before when Squirrel was in there. The grass was a little lower. It was a little bit of a drier pond, which proved to be the case on this hunt as well, even though drier this year was different than drier last year, which is, another thing about South Florida. And people are continuously, they think that, I think a misconception is that we're going down to South Florida and hunting the same places every year. Like we got some honey holes or something down there. Don't get me wrong, we got some areas that we like to go, just because it's been, in years past it's shown some consistency at having birds, but that's not always the case. Um, we hunt new areas down there every year. Every year something changes down there. The vegetation grows so quick. Obviously it's a growing season year round down there. The water levels are so unpredictable. So it's really a learning experience every year we go down there. So we don't have any secret honey holes that we can, like you may have in other parts of the country where there's always a ridge that has a gobbler on it, or there's always a little isolated field that seems to hold turkeys. Florida's a little bit different. So, anyways, he had some experience in this area. We made thought long and hard on the evening before about where we wanted to sit up, and chose this pond after getting in there in the dark. You keep hearing me say that about how early we're going to get there, because a lot of times on a roosted turkey you can get away with quite a bit in the dark. So we get there extremely early and do a lot of looking. We do a lot of looking in the dark. Just seeing which side of the gobbler may be best for him to come to or whatever. And that's exactly what we did this morning. We actually walked in, found all the water where we wanted to sit up. There was a little trail that got a little bit too close to him, closer to him than I like to get, that we had to slip past him to look at the pond on the other side, and it was just complete trash. Ended up turning around in the dark and sneaking right back down the trail, and went with our initial plan. Um, and that's where we ended up here. We will move on. So that's about all it is. All I've got to say about the setup there. see if this thing can get moving here. And this is us. Just as the turkey starts gobbling, I turn on this little vlog camera that I've got situated on us to kind of keep you in tune with what we're doing here in our little. We've done the clip the palmettos again and stuck us up some for cover. And you can see, I mean, this thing is just a lot of water. And what was most concerning, even more than the water, is all of this in this tall grass is water as well. I mean, this is all just wet. And I didn't like the tall grass in the water. I've called Osceolas across water before. They live in it. They don't mind water nearly as much as any other turkey that you'll deal with. But I didn't like that the water was accompanied by this grass that was, you know, almost waist tall. So that was concerning. It just looked nasty in the dark, especially. So we were pretty much just going to wait and see what he did here. And that's something I've had to do in the past. It's something that a lot of people don't realize. It's okay to not have the perfect setup at roost. If you can't get where you want to be off the roost, just let him fly down and let him tell you what he's going to do. And sometimes you can make a quick change then. You know, you can adjust your setup after he's flown down and shown you which way he's going to go. It's not imperative to have the perfect setup and call to him on the limb and get him to fly down towards you. Sometimes that's just flat out not the case. So it's okay if you just flat out can't get to him in time or you can't get the perfect setup, because a lot of times these gobblers, when they're up on the limb, they can see a lot better. And if you try to get the perfect setup and bump him, obviously you're not going to kill that turkey, at least not for quite a while. So sometimes it's better to let him fly down, let him get some terrain between you so that you can make those last moves and get into the right spot, and then, you know, then start calling to him or whatnot. So here I'm helping Squirrel adjust the monopod. He's unfamiliar with this thing, so I'm having to reach over there and help him with that. And this is where the calling starts to happen here soon. And you can even hear me tell him there. What I just said was, I'm hoping that you could hear it well enough on video, was the next time he gobbles, I'm going to respond to him. I think I've hit it in these reworked episodes before. And you can hear it there. As soon as he gobbles, I have to prepare myself. You have your call in your mouth or in your hands or whatever and get ready. And as soon as he gobbles, I'm trying to respond to him almost like a reflex. I think I've said this before, but it's almost like a knee-jerk response. As soon as he gobbles, I'm going to act like it provoked me, like I almost did it by accident. If I was a turkey up there, I was just like a knee-jerk response and just responding to him. And that's just realistic. If you listen to turkeys on the limb a lot, they like as a reflex, they'll be provoked to yelp or to cut or to cluck or whatever, just any type of response just reacting to that gobbler's gobble. It excites them, or it's it just provokes them, just like when you call to that gobbler and it provokes him to gobble. It's doing the same thing, just reverse. And that's exactly what I told Squirrel. You heard me tell him, get ready. The next time he gobbles, I'm going to respond to him, because it's something you've got to prepare for. You've got to be ready. You've got to have everything ready to call, so that as soon as he does that, you can, as a reflex, respond to him. Because if there's a second or two of a delay there, it's not going to be realistic. Because in reality, turkeys, when they respond to that turkey, it is just a split second decision. They just do it so quick. So you've got to be prepared to do that to make it sound realistic. And then a lot of times when he gobbles, you hear me do those water drop clucks. I kind of tone the volume down. I don't call a lot to this turkey. He's close. I just want him to know where we're at to see if I can steer his direction in which he wants to fly out. Because like I said, he could go basically one of two ways, and I'm just trying to get him to come our way. And you can see me, what I'm doing right here is I'm tilting my head up and preparing. See, that's exactly what I'm doing right here. I've got my head tilted up. I'm wanting to direct my call straight up like a turkey that's maybe still in the tree. And I'm getting ready. Like I've got my call, I got my tongue on the call, I'm completely ready to call and make my sounds. And I'm essentially just sitting there waiting on him to gobble so that it sounds like I'm a hen sitting there and he gobbles and I'm provoked almost as a reaction to respond to that. And here we go. And you'll notice the type of calling I'm doing there. He's gobbling, and then I'm not following it up with soft yelps. Here again, it's not realistic. It's a reaction. It's in a little bit of a elevated excitement when you're responding to them gobble. It's not a gobble. It's going to be a gobble, or it's a gobbling. You know, they're excited. It's a reflex. It's you know they're a little bit, you know, elevated in volume, elevated in rhythm. Everything's a little quicker, and that's what I try to portray there is a turkey that's sitting on the limb. She's preening, she's shaking. You know, she's getting ready for her morning routine, and he gobbles, and she's you know, that's what she wanted to hear. So, and moving forward here, you'll see a lot of times when he gobbles, I'm just acting like a hen that's on the tree now. She's woken up. He's woken her up. She's maybe just preening or walking on the tree limb, and she's just giving those little water drop clucks. It's just something. It's just stuff that she does. Just little soft stuff. You don't have to yelp your brains out and all that. He knows we're there now. I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm trying to visualize in my head if there was a turkey in this pine tree above me, what would she be sounding like? And when he's hitting that kind of stuff, that super low, super quiet stuff, I really like it when they can hear you that well. Turkeys can hear incredibly well. So, remember in the last reworked episode when I clucked to that turkey and he drummed, he may not be close enough for you to hear him drum, but if he's hearing that calling, you just got to visualize that he's hearing that calling, his head's coming up, and then he's strutting. He doesn't have to gobble to your calls to confirm that he heard what you did. You just got to take for granted that he can hear well enough to where he just heard that. Um, and I'm giving Squirrel has not done a lot of videoing either, so I'm having to coach him a little bit or just making sure that he's ready for what happens next. And you can hear the turkey was still responding to those water drop little tree clucks there. I think I tree yelped too. There he is. Here again, not anything extremely aggressive. I'm not. And here he comes out of the tree. There he comes. Once the turkey flies down out of the tree, I know his decision is made. Once I see him come out of the tree our direction, I know he has heard exactly what he wants to hear. His decision is 100% made. I put the call in my cheek because there is not a reason for me to call again. Especially unless I can see him veering one way or the other that's going to put him outside of shotgun range. Because if he is confident enough that there's a hen over there to where he's basing the direction he's pitching out of his tree, then I'm just going to let him keep coming. I mean, he knows exactly where we're at. There's no reason for me to chance calling too much and giving away our location or giving him any reason in the world to stay there and wait on me. This is thick vegetation. That's one of the advantages to Florida. As tough as it is to hunt with the thick vegetation, those gobblers have to come look for you. They can't see real well once they get on the ground. So I'm going to use that to my advantage and just shut up and let him keep coming. he's getting on the ground now, and he hasn't heard from me, and that's exactly why he's gobbling. He's expecting to hear from me. He's wanting to know where I'm at. When those turkeys are gobbling on their own and they're closing in on you, that means they're searching for you a lot of times, and that's a good spot to be in. When they're looking for you, as long as they're continuously making ground to you, I usually don't call. Less is more approach, I guess. The more I call, the more I call, the more of a chance I have of doing something wrong. So typically I'll just clam up and let him keep coming and looking. If for some reason he begins to stall, he begins to hang up, and if he's in sight, it's not going to be like day one to where he wasn't in sight and he stalled and I crawled all over him and got him to break. If he's within sight, you just don't do that, because he can see exactly where the sound's coming from. He doesn't have to come look like he did in day one, where he had to come around the clump of palmettos to really get an eye on us. Let's pause this because everything's fixing to go down here. But if he's within sight and he starts to stall, I essentially let him just look as much as he wants. If I do call to him, it's going to be one of those bubble clucks, one of those real muffled clucks. And I'm only going to do it, since I can see him, I'm going to do it when he's moving. When he's probably making noise with his body, rubbing against grass, or in this situation, walking in the water. And that way it's a little bit of a distraction, so it throws off maybe his ears a little bit. Maybe it doesn't. Here's a strategy that I'm just kind of employing that may be true, may not be true. But if he's within sight of me and I have to call to him to try to bring him in a few extra yards or whatever, I don't think you can do it soft enough to where he can't pinpoint your location. So I always try to, given I've got the advantage of being able to see him, I always try to time it in a moment when he's moving, or he's making noise on his own, or he's just going into strut and drumming. That's when I'll make my call, so that it gives him that little bit of confirmation that there's a turkey over there, but it doesn't allow him to pinpoint you to the exact bush you're behind or tree you're up against. Because once he does that and he doesn't see a hen, it usually doesn't end well for us, being the hunter. He's made his way through the water. You can hear him walking through the water the whole way. At this point, everything's going down. I called to the turkey here to stop him, essentially, so that I can kill him. And you can see how anxious he was to hear from a hen. I hadn't called to him since he had hit the ground. He had gobbled trying to find us on the way to us. As soon as I hit him with that call, he's sitting here maybe 30 yards. As soon as he heard that call, he crawled all over it. That just shows you how amped he was and how much he was looking for a hen, how much he was searching for you. As soon as he heard that call, even at 30 yards, he gobbled in a response. And if I'd have done that when he would have been 60 yards, it may have made a difference. It may not have. He may have gobbled like that and then just, put that head up high and just stared for the next hour. Who knows? But in this situation, I called to him. He stopped to gobble, and the rest is history. And I had 2 camera angles on this hunt, something I wish I could be a little bit more disciplined in accomplishing with more of our hunts. It's really a nice little spin to be able to watch us interact and move and everything, and also get the turkey with the main camera angle. It's pretty cool. But anyway, that's about all for day 7. We enjoyed him as always, had our cigar and sat up against a pine tree, talked about our good fortune, enjoyed the fruits of our labor, and it was on to day 8, which you guys have seen now. And I guess you guys have noticed that we are out of Florida. Day 8 was the last day in Florida. We have transitioned to Alabama here. The videos are going to get shorter. A lot of them will anyways, because we're hunting before work. It's getting into that grind of hunting every day. A lot of these hunts, Monday through Friday, will be, really quick, because we only have a couple hours to hunt before we have to run to work. It's really late nights, trying to get in the hours at work and keep up with my responsibilities there, and then really early morning. So you'll see me begin to be even more tired on each of these morning hunts. But we keep grinding, we keep after them. But there's quite a few vacation days going to be thrown in here as well, so you'll see some nice lengthy videos that you've become used to over this first week that we've been in Florida. But anyways, hope you guys are enjoying the reworks. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos. Hope you can suffer through the Alabama stuff, because we're getting into the hardwoods. We're getting into, quick hunts. There's not always going to be a turkey killed. I'm trying to show you guys a full season regardless of kills or not. We were fortunate in Florida. We had a pretty decent season, so you'll get to see quite a few, or you'll get to see the camera be around quite a few turkey kills. I'm not going to promise I got everyone on video, because there was very few of them on video, especially going forward. But anyways, hope you guys are enjoying them. If you could do me a favor, like always, like and share the videos. And be sure to let me know any more questions you might have on anything we're doing here, and we'll continue to put these things out. So appreciate it. See you guys later.